Picture this. You're standing outside a coffee shop, heart pounding so hard you can hear it in your ears. Your palms are sweaty, your mind is racing with what-if scenarios, and all you want to do is order a simple latte. But instead, you turn around and walk away. Sound familiar? If you've ever felt like your own mind was your worst enemy in social situations, this video is going to change everything for you. What if I told you that 40 million adults in America alone struggle with social anxiety disorder? That's more than the entire population of California. But here's the kicker. Most people suffering from social anxiety think they're alone in their struggle. They believe everyone else has it figured out while they're stuck in an endless cycle of fear and avoidance. Well, let me tell you that's absolutely not true. Let's hear my friend Sarah's story. My name is Sarah, and 3 years ago, I couldn't even answer a phone call without my voice shaking. Today, I'm making YouTube videos and speaking to a lot of people. You won't believe what happened next when I discovered the 3 life-changing strategies I'm about to share with you. But first, let me tell you about the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday morning in September when I found myself hiding in a bathroom stall at work, crying because I was too scared to give a presentation to 5 co-workers. 5 people I saw every single day. That's when I realized my social anxiety had completely taken over my life. I was missing out on promotions, friendships, and experiences all because of this invisible prison I'd built around myself. Here's what nobody tells you about social anxiety. It's not just shyness. It's not something you can simply snap out of or overcome by thinking positive thoughts. Social anxiety is your brain's alarm system going haywire, treating a casual conversation like a life or death situation. Your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, literally can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and asking someone for directions. But here's where it gets interesting. That same brain that's causing all this trouble, it's also the key to your freedom. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will completely flip your understanding of social anxiety on its head. The first breakthrough came when I stopped fighting my anxiety and started working with it. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. For years, I tried to eliminate my anxious thoughts, push them down, pretend they weren't there. But every time I fought against them, they came back stronger. It was like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more violently it springs back up. So what changed? I learned something called the acceptance paradox. The moment you stop trying to control your anxiety, it begins to lose its power over you. This doesn't mean giving up or letting anxiety rule your life. It means acknowledging its presence without letting it make your decisions for you. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in real life. Imagine you're at a party and you feel that familiar tightness in your chest. Instead of thinking, "Oh no, I can't let anyone see me like this, I need to hide," you acknowledge it. "Okay, anxiety, I see you there. You're trying to protect me, but I'm safe here." This simple shift in perspective was the first domino that started my entire transformation. But acknowledgement alone wasn't enough. I needed practical tools, and that's where the second strategy comes in. Here's what nobody tells you about social anxiety. Your body holds the key to calming your mind. Most people try to think their way out of anxiety, but that's like trying to stop a fire with gasoline. Your nervous system has 2 modes: sympathetic, which is your fight or flight response, and parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest mode. When social anxiety hits, you're stuck in sympathetic overdrive. The secret is learning how to activate your parasympathetic nervous system on command. The technique that changed my life is something I call the 4-7-8 reset. When you feel anxiety creeping in, breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7, and exhale for 8. Do this 3 times. What's happening here is pure science. You're stimulating your vagus nerve, which sends a signal to your brain that you're safe. You won't believe what happened next when I started using this technique. Within 2 weeks, I noticed my baseline anxiety dropping significantly. But breathing exercises alone weren't enough for those really challenging situations. That's when I discovered the power of what I call anxiety reframing. Instead of seeing my rapid heartbeat as a sign of danger, I started interpreting it as excitement. The physiological sensations of anxiety and excitement are almost identical: increased heart rate, heightened alertness, energy surge. The only difference is the story we tell ourselves about what's happening. This isn't just positive thinking mumbo-jumbo. There's actual neuroscience behind this. When you reframe anxiety as excitement, you're not trying to calm down, which is nearly impossible when you're already activated. Instead, you're channeling that energy in a positive direction. I started telling myself, I'm not nervous about this presentation. I'm excited to share my ideas. The transformation was immediate. Now let me share the third and most surprising strategy that can change your life. This one caught me completely off guard because it goes against everything most people believe about overcoming social anxiety. Are you ready for this? You need to seek out uncomfortable social situations on purpose. I know what you're thinking, Sarah, that sounds like torture. Trust me, I thought the same thing. But here's the science behind it. Every time you avoid a social situation because of anxiety, you're reinforcing to your brain that social interactions are dangerous. You're strengthening the very neural pathways you want to weaken. The solution is something called graduated exposure. You don't jump into the deep end immediately. You start small and work your way up. For me, it started with making eye contact with cashiers and saying thank you with genuine warmth. Then I progressed to asking store employees where to find specific items. Next, I started commenting on social media posts. Each small victory built my confidence for bigger challenges. The magic happens in what I call the anxiety sweet spot, that place where you're uncomfortable but not overwhelmed. It's like strength training for your social confidence. Every time you push through that discomfort and nothing terrible happens, you're literally rewiring your brain to see social situations as safe. One of my most powerful exposure exercises was something I called awkward compliments. I would give one genuine compliment to a stranger every day for a month. The first few times, my hands were shaking. But by week 3, I was looking forward to brightening someone's day. You won't believe what happened next. People started approaching me for conversations. I realized that my warmth and authenticity were magnetic in a way my anxious, guarded self never could be. Here's something that might surprise you about social anxiety. Often, the people we think are judging us aren't paying nearly as much attention to us as we imagine. There's a psychological phenomenon called the spotlight effect, where we overestimate how much others notice our behavior. In reality, most people are too focused on their own concerns to scrutinize yours. I learned this firsthand during one of my exposure exercises. I wore 2 different shoes to the grocery store on purpose, convinced everyone would notice and judge me. Not a single person said anything or even seemed to notice. It was a humbling reminder that we're often the star of a movie that no one else is watching. But let's talk about the real challenge. Those thoughts that loop endlessly in your mind before, during, and after social interactions. You know the ones. What if I say something stupid? What if they think I'm weird? What if I embarrass myself? These thoughts feel so real and urgent. But here's what nobody tells you about social anxiety. Thoughts are not facts. One technique that revolutionized my relationship with anxious thoughts is called thought diffusion. Instead of fighting these thoughts or trying to replace them with positive ones, I learned to observe them with curious detachment. When my mind would say, "Everyone's going to think you're boring," I'd respond with, "That's an interesting thought my anxiety is having right now." This creates space between you and your thoughts. You're not your anxiety, and your anxious thoughts aren't predictions about the future. They're just your brain's attempt to keep you safe, even when safety isn't threatened. The journey out of social anxiety isn't linear. There will be days when you feel on top of the world and others when ordering pizza feels impossible. That's completely normal and part of the process. The goal isn't to eliminate anxiety entirely. That's neither possible nor healthy. Anxiety serves important functions in our lives. The goal is to prevent it from making your decisions for you. Now let me address something crucial. These strategies work for many people with social anxiety, but everyone's journey is unique. If your anxiety is severe enough to significantly impact your daily functioning, please consider working with a mental health professional. There's no shame in seeking help, and therapy can provide additional tools and support for your journey. For those ready to start implementing these strategies, begin with just one. Pick the technique that resonates most with you, whether it's the acceptance paradox, the breathing reset, or graduated exposure. Consistency matters more than perfection. Even 5 minutes of daily practice will create noticeable changes over time. I also want to emphasize the importance of self-compassion throughout this process. You're not broken, and you don't need fixing. You're simply learning new skills to work with your nervous system more effectively. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd show a good friend facing similar challenges. Stay tuned until the end, because I want to share one final insight that ties everything together. The most profound realization in my social anxiety journey was this. The goal isn't to become someone who never feels anxiety. The goal is to become someone who feels anxiety and chooses courage anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's feeling the fear and taking action despite it. Every time you choose connection over isolation, authenticity over perfection, or presence over avoidance, you're building your courage muscle. Here's my challenge for you. Pick one small social interaction you've been avoiding and commit to doing it this week. Maybe it's calling instead of texting, speaking up in a meeting, or starting a conversation with a neighbor. Share what you're going to try in the comments below. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Millions of people understand exactly what you're going through, and many have found their way to the other side. Your social anxiety doesn't define you, and it doesn't have to limit your life. If this video helped you see social anxiety in a new light, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content about mental health and personal growth. Share this with someone who might need to hear these messages. Sometimes knowing you're not alone is the first step toward freedom. Your future self, the one who speaks up confidently, forms meaningful connections, and lives authentically, is waiting for you to take that first brave step.